Hello, Yawning Angel here, and yes, it's a BBC Master video. So about 8 months or so ago, I did a video where I got this second processor up and running for this machine by making use of adding a DNFS ROM to the inside of this machine so it could actually see the second processor. So I got the second processor purely so I could play the wireframe 3D version of Elite that had been converted by the incredibly talented Mr. Mark Moxon. I really wanted to play this game, I really wanted to see it in 3D, and so second processor was obtained and I needed to get that up and running on this machine. I did a video on this some time ago, there'll be a link up above or over here maybe, go and check that out. It was quite an interesting journey. However, based on a comment left on that video,
with the master did you use star configure tube, as by default the machine will not look for a second processor.
It would appear that I didn't need to have gone through all that trouble of getting a DNFS ROM fitted inside the master so it could see the external processor. Apparently, the BBC Master has its own tube functionality built in. I say tube because this is where the external processor plugs into. On the master, it plugs into the tube socket underneath. But apparently the master already has its own way of configuring the tube and being able to identify external processors without the need for any additional ROMs. So with that said, the purpose of this video is to configure the master to see the external processor by making use of the star configure tube command. And in order to do that, we're kind of going to take all that work out that we did last time. So I'm going to remove the DNFS ROM, reset the jumpers in the machine, kind of get it back to sort of factory standard so I can use the configure tube command in order to get this second processor up and running. I'm going to do that and then I'm going to prove that the processor works well. We're going to run 3D Elite again and I might have a little surprise for you towards the end of the video as well. But why, Yawning Angel, I hear you ask? Why did you go down the DNFS ROM route in order to get the second processor running? Well, I originally read up in the 6502 second processor guide. I'll put a link to that document somewhere in the description down below. That document actually said in order to get the second processor running, you needed a DNFS ROM in order to do so. Unfortunately, I didn't read that properly, and that was specifically for the BBC B computer, not the BBC Master. I overlooked that vital point, and as a result, kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole I didn't need to go down. So yeah, I am a bit of a muppet sometimes. I forget to read instructions. So then, with all that said, let's get this machine switched off on a table apart and let's get that DNFS ROM out. Let's reset those jumpers. Also, there's a speech ROM in here as well. I'm going to take that out too. I want to try and get this machine back to factory standard as much as I can. Those ROMs, if you remember from the last video, were provided to me by the rather excellent Andy from Hack Build Restore. So sorry, Andy, I need to take all of those out for now, but I just want to do it so I can prove that the star configure tube command actually works and I can get the second processor recognized on the BBC Master without the need for additional ROMs. So the plan is to remove the DNFS ROM and the speech ROM as well, and to make sure these jumpers at LK19, LK18 and LK12 are in the correct position, because obviously they were adjusted so the ROMs could be picked up, but if the ROMs are no longer there, those jumpers need to go back into their standard position. So that's what we're going to do now. Removing the ROMs. One. Let's get the DNFS ROM out. That's good. Okay, let's talk about the jumper at position LK19 just in here. And according to the Advanced BBC Master Guide, it says when this jumper is fitted in the west position, this causes 16 kilobyte of RAM to appear even in each of the sideways memory slots 6 and 7. When fitted to the east position, which is the way I've got it here, a 32 kilobyte ROM occupying slots 6 and 7 may be plugged into socket label IC37. So obviously this is switched over so it can enable a ROM to sit here, which is the way I had it. So I'm going to move that back to the east position now. Okay, that's LK19 dealt with. Next up, we have this jumper LK18. You can just make it out if you're getting really close and squint with a magnifier, because the writing is actually underneath that little resistor there. So yeah, LK18 we're taking this one as. And the guide says, when fitted in the west position, this link causes 16 kilobyte of RAM to appear in each of the sideways memory slots. Basically, you fit it in the east position to have a ROM in this position here. So this is already in the west position, so that one is in the right place by the looks of it. So we're leaving that in the west position, and now we need to look at the one underneath it, which does look like LK12. Okay, LK12. This one's a little bit different in the description. You probably won't see this on camera, but there's actually a position A and a position B. And according to the guide, position B is east, that's right. Position A, the connection to the computer C-Sync line is provided for Genlock purposes, but in position B, certain hardware cartridges may need to detect whether they are plugged into a Master Series computer or Acorn Electron. Master computers are shipped with this link in the B position. So, and that is in the B position. So it looks like we're good. So these jumpers are in the correct position. So we should be okay then to put everything back together and test it out. Right, so now it's just a case of putting it all back together. Right, here I am then in a slightly different setup. I am actually in front of the BBC Master. I have yet to power it up, but Yawning Angel, are you actually in front of the BBC Master? How do we know for sure? Well, let me change lenses on the camera and give you a wider angle view. Here I am, this is the BBC Master. Second processor unit is just off here. I've got the BBC Master welcome guide here, just in case. I've got a feeling we might need to be dipping into that. But I'm definitely in front of a real computer. Nothing on the screen as yet because I haven't actually turned the machine on. Right, let's get back to the main lens and refocus. Right, here we are then. So before I get going, mouthful of tea needed. Yeah, that's not bad. Right, so the plan of attack is power the machine up, make sure we're all okay after the ROMs I removed, make sure that the jumpers are all okay and the machine's kind of behaving itself. I do have a little nagging doubt about one particular thing, but once we've powered it up, we will find out about that together. So then let me let's change the settings on there. That there should be in focus. Right, let's get this machine powered up then. So we got the 2 beeps. And it's thinking about it. There we go. Right. Now that screen that you're seeing there tells us quite a lot, and it confirms my suspicions about the battery which backs up the CMOS settings. I think that battery has expired in this machine. There's nothing wrong with it. It hasn't leaked or anything because it's a new battery. It was replaced back in 2022 by More Fun Making It Lee. But I think because I don't use the machine a lot, that battery has run out of juice. So what I need to do then is check the status of the configuration of this machine. So we do that by typing, we would type star status, but it's automatically defaulted to that. So let me do status. Yeah, that's, yes, and I thought this might happen. So what I've actually got in the BBC Master Welcome Guide, on page 244, it tells you about this kind of eventuality and what configuration commands we need to enter in order to get the machine up to its standard state. So there's quite clearly some things here that are not right. So, and also the screen display is wrong as well, so I need to change that. So before I do, a quick mouthful of tea and we'll crack on. So what I'm going to do is, I don't know if you can actually see these on camera, but there's a list of configuration statements here, and I need to get all of these typed in so I can change the settings that the master has kind of defaulted to. So this should not take long. It's just a case of typing in the configure statements, which you can't even see because it's actually pushed the screen down. But let's just type blindly and see what happens. There we go. Good, we're okay. So I just need to get these typed in. No boot is already set. Caps is already set. Data is showing as 5. The book tells me to change that to 4. Okay. Delay is 50. I need to change it to 50. Configure delay 50. Okay. Configure no directory. No directory is already set. Configure in tube. Well, internal tube is already set, and we're going to come on to that later, so hold that thought. Configure F drive 3. Okay. Configure F. No, I think I got that wrong. Drive 3. Yep. What else do we need to do? File, it says, is 15. Okay. Configure file 15, right. Configure hard, interesting. Okay, configure hard, right. Ignore should be 10. Configure ignore 10, right. Language 12. Language 12. Configure mode 7. Mode 7, right. Configure tube. Tube is already there. Quiet or configure loud. Okay. Configure loud. Let's try that. Repeat should be 10. And scroll. Right, configure scroll and configure TV. TV, which should be 0, 1 and not the 253, 0 as we have there. So that is done. So I've changed those now. Press Control Break and hopefully. Right, so we've got some difference there, but quite clearly things still are not right. Now what I need to do is do star ROMs. Now this shows me what ROMs are plugged into the machine and what is actually functioning. So as you'll notice here, a lot of these ROMs have got the word unplugged next to them. Now this is a software unplugged, not an actual hardware unplugged. These ROMs still exist inside the machine. But what I need to do is actually re-plug them in because the machine's forgotten about them and I need to tell it, look, you need to use these ROMs. So apparently the command to do that is star insert. So that is what I'm going to do. So insert, and I think it is insert. Do I just do D? Nope, I don't do D. It's the number. What you need to do is the number of the ROM. So if we count from ROM 0 at the bottom, we go all the way up to 9, and then at 9 we go to A. So A is actually 10. So I want to put ADFS in. So ADFS ROM is in position, so up to 9 at DFS, and then I do 10A, 11B, 12C, 13D. So insert 13, excellent. So also I need to do insert the basic ROM, and which that is at 12. I need to insert DFS, so insert, and that is ROM 9. Okay, I think we're okay. So if I do control, actually now if I do star ROMs, we'll notice that what's missing, ROM B edit is unplugged. Not too worried about that for now. So if I do control break, look at that. Acorn Moz basic, and we've lost the star prompt. It's actually gone to the little greater than symbol prompt. So it looks like, now if I do star ROMs, that's okay. If I do star status, that's okay. So if I do control D and break, gets me into Acorn DFS. This is a DFS file in system. If I do control F and break, gets me into ADFS. So that means those ROMs are there and they're working now. So this is good. Things are looking good. So what I want to do next is actually test to see if the MMFS functionality is working. So obviously I've got the SD card plugged in underneath the machine. I've got the MMFS ROM inside the machine, and I need to load games from there. So can the machine actually see that? Well, we know it can, because if I do star ROMs, we should, there it is, ROM 8, master MMFS is there. So if I change the filing system now, so if I do star MMFS, okay, and let's see. So now what I should be able to do is do shift and break, and this should load that SD, and it has, there we go, I've got the menu. The menu is there for the software which is on the SD card. So if I do tab CH, and now if I just go along to test a game quickly, what sort of game shall we check? We're going to check the one and only, the immortal, the legendary Chucky Egg. Okay, let's go. Press S to start. How many players? 1. Okay, I can never remember the keys for this. I think it's, yep, yes. Obviously I'm not as good as some on this game, but it's an enjoyable romp, a good way to waste a few minutes. Okay, I think we can safely say that everything is working okay on this front. Oh, no, no. Let's quickly just clear this level. Right, we're good. Let's break out of that. So the MMFS functionality is working fine on here. I'm really pleased with that. If I do Control F and break, good. So we're good. So the machine is pretty much basic back to standard, as standard as it can be, if you ignore the MMFS chip, of course. So what I want to do now is let's get that tube configuration underway. We'll run a test. We'll try and load Elite 3D because that needs the tube. Needs the second processor, so it needs the tube functionality there. We'll try and run it without, and then we'll try and configure the tube, and then we'll see if we can run Elite after that. So we'll do that next. Now it's time to see about the tube configuration. Now I haven't done anything, so if I just do status. So on here, tube is set, but also it's set internal tube. You can have internal tube configuration or external tube. Obviously, I'm going to need external because I have an external second processor. And why tube, Yawning Angel? Well, the external processor is plugged into the tube socket underneath the BBC Master. So that's why we're messing around with that. But a quick test first of all. So I have Elite 3D on this machine, and it needs the second processor. But let's prove and make sure that the second processor isn't actually in use at the moment. So to do that, what I'm going to do is load in Elite 3D. So what I need to do, as that's on the SD card under the MMFS file system, I need to do MMFS, gets us there. Then I need to do disk in, disk position 0, you need to have disk 330. Okay, and if I do shift break, as you can see, this is the second processor Elite, and this program needs a 6502 second processor in order to run. So quite clearly, the tube is not active, the external tube is not being picked up, so this game will not run. That's fine, happy days. Let me do Control F break, back to ADFS. So now let's do some tube configuration. So this is where the fun begins. Now, to get the tube configured, we need the star configure tube command, star configure in tube or X tube command. So we know, if I do star status, tube is in this list somewhere. Yes, there it is, underneath mode. Tube is set. So what I'm going to actually do is, let me get my notes. So the star configure tube command, so this checks for the presence of an internal or external coprocessor, and if fitted, take action specified by either the in tube or X tube option. So I'm just going to do star configure tube. Okay, shouldn't have really changed anything on the status, the fact that tube is still showing. So what I'm going to do next is, this is an external processor, so I'm going to do star configure, and we're going to have this as X tube. So now if I do star status, let's see. So now in the list, you can actually see it there, about halfway down. External tube is configured. So tube is on and external tube is set. Wow, that's pretty cool. So now what should happen? So see, trying to get his camera in focus. What should happen is I should now be able to run Elite 3D. So let's go back to MMFS. First of all, let's put caps lock back on. MMFS, it just feels better doing things in capital letters on a BBC system. Don't ask me why, it just does. So we need to now do star disk in 0330. I think that's all I need to do. Yep, and then shift break. Now, if this is using, if the tube configuration is set up okay and it's using the external processor, this game should run. Fingers crossed, everybody. Here we go. Moment of truth. Ooh. And you know something? There's a reason why that hasn't actually happened. It's because I haven't actually switched on. I haven't switched on the external processor. I've got it plugged in, but I haven't actually turned it on. So let's do that again. Right, I've done some faffing about. I've checked some things, checked some cables. I have reseated the cables on the second processor. The ribbon cable underneath was a bit loose. So anyway, as things stand at the moment, says he moving some stuff, the second processor is switched on. So I'm now going to switch on the BBC Master. Come on. Oh, yes, we've got it. Look at that, top of the screen. Acorn Tube 6502 64K. The 64K is referencing the 64K of memory on the second processor. We are good. The second processor is there and working. I am so relieved. Had a bit of a panic there for a moment, but no, we seem to be all good. But literally what it was, the ribbon cable had just come unseated underneath the second processor unit. It is a really nasty connection, trying to get your fingers in there and trying to get this long cable to connect in. It's very difficult. I hadn't done it properly. I had not seated it correctly. It is now seated in there. So now if I do status, I'm so excited I can't type. Status. So we've got external tube is configured, tube is on. So now what I should be able to do is go to MMFS. I should now be able to do my start disk in, disk 0, take the software which is loaded at position 330 on the SD card, punch that. That should now load in Elite 3D. If I do shift break, there we go. Second processor Elite. Come on. Is it gonna, oh, this is looking promising. Yes, we have Elite 3D loaded and running. Proof that we didn't need the ROM chip, the DNFS ROM chip in there in order to use a processor. We could just use the BBC Master's own internal or its own tube configuration process in order to get it to talk to the second processor. This is absolutely amazing and I'm really excited about it. Fantastic. So BBC Master, check. Talking to a second processor unit, check. All done by using the tube command, which is already built into the BBC Master, and Elite 3D running on the BBC Master as well. That is phenomenal. So that is a success. Right, something a little bit extra for you now. So I have actually been looking around for other games which make use of the second processor. And following a pointer from someone on Discord, thank you very much, I've been pointed to a version of Chucky Egg, a more modern interpretation of Chucky Egg, which makes use of the 6502 processor on the BBC Master. And I think I've managed to get that software installed on my SD card. So what I'm going to do, let's go to MMFS and let's do star disk in 0. And I put this at position 335. Okay, seems okay. Let's try StarCat. Chucky Egg 23. Now apparently this was released in 2023, but it makes use of the second processor. I have never run this before in my life, so this is all new territory. So you are experiencing this for the first time along with myself. So I'm hoping if I do shift break, Chucky Egg 2023 40th anniversary edition. Look at that. Oh my goodness. How good is this? Wow. And this supposedly makes use of the second processor. I don't know. I mean, Chucky Eggs appeared on things like Acorn Electron, so I'm not sure what it's going to get out of the second processor and all the extra memory. Interesting. So here it is then, loading up. Okay. Use the direction and jump controls to guide your man to collect a dozen eggs. You may redefine space for the next page. So use the direction and jump controls. Okay. Space for the next page. New features. Revamped UI. 128 levels. Integrated level editor. In-game music. Wow. Options screen. Saved high scores, options and keys. Wow. Look at that. F1 to select an action and F2 to select an item. Jump applies the action, F3, Selects the round for testing a level. Oh my goodness, holding shift down makes the F key cycle in reverse. Oh my goodness. Extended jump, when enabled from level 9 upwards, pressing jump and up together will increase your jump height. Oh wow, they've really gone to town on this. This looks so cool. Wow, Sam Skivington. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's see what happens here. So I pressed escape. And so up is that, down, left, right. Jump is return. Ooh, I'm not sure about that. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to play the game. Can I come out of here? F1. Start. Right. Ready. Oh, nice. It's got the music. Oh, that is so cool. No, this isn't right. I'm going to need to change the jump key. I'm not sure about the music. Could it get a note? Oh, well, there we go. I've got the right. Fair enough. Oh, it's the same music all the way through. Let's break out of there. Right, so I think we can safely say then that the second processor is definitely working. That whole configuration tube command worked a treat, and I'm really, really happy with that. And that is it for this video. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really hope you've got something out of this. I'm really happy because I finally got the BBC Master configured to use the external processor by using the inbuilt tube functionality. And that's what I set out to do at the start of this video. So, job's a good one. Anyway, thanks once again for watching. If you like this kind of thing, like the video, subscribe, it helps the channel grow. But until the next video, whatever you do, look after yourself and keep it retro. If you enjoyed this video, here's some others which you may find interesting.